Hey, this is Kyle Crawford from Strong Dads. Strong Dads podcast would love to thank the Crimers Beer House for coming alongside of us. The Crimers Beer House was started in 1982 by the Crimer family, and since that time, they have definitely become a Cincinnati favorite. So if you're looking for an incredible meal in an incredible setting, definitely go down to Route 128 and check out the Crimers Beer House. All right. Hey, guys, what's going on? Merle, how you doing today?
Other than my shirt being too small, I'm just fine. How are you doing?
I see there's a blizzard outside. The kids
gosh.
of Indiana, you got to enjoy a little break, I heard this morning.
They had a little 2-hour delay today because I think I saw 3 snowflakes.
There's a dusting, a light dusting.
Very light dusting here in southeast Indiana.
Are you ready for the winter here?
It is what it is. You know how I feel about winter.
This is staying? Is this like a warm?
Yeah,
food?
you know, Linda's like November's over. I'm like, kind of liking it, So we'll see.
The old grizzly beer to keep you warm.
I'm
you got the grizzly beer, the plaid shirt.
Man, I'm all about the backwoods. I'm all in the country here.
You're talking about big cedar timbers. You got it all going.
That's right. I got some timbers I'm building.
You got it all going.
What are we talking about anyway?
Yeah, what are we talking about today, Merle? We should probably get into our show. Enough talking about your grizzly beard and plaid shirt.
So we do have a really interesting topic.
I like it.
All right, and I think you and I are going to both relate to this topic, and I think you strong dads out there, you're going to relate to this. The idea that are you the same man in different environments? So in other words, who you are at work, is that the same guy that you are at home? So if your daughters showed up at the firehouse and they just watched you through like a two-way mirror or something.
A fly on the wall.
Like a fly on the wall. Would they recognize their daddy, or would they go, oh my gosh, that's not my dad?
Well, I can tell you this, Merle. I would not allow them to listen to what I say at work. I do know that.
No.
When you were sent this over and we started thinking about this topic, the idea of who I am at work versus at home, I've thought a lot about this. And I know I've shared on this show the idea of sports and what sports mean to me and just the way I relate to sports. And I think this is no different. For me, I'm by no means an NFL quarterback, but I always kind of like put myself in that same mindset. I feel like I can relate to, I've heard quarterbacks talk about like, when they step on the field, that killer instinct, that killer mentality kind of comes out in them, right? And then when they step off the field, they can go back to almost being themselves, right? But it almost requires them when they step on that football field to act a certain way, to respond to things a certain way. And I definitely think that is where I'm at. And maybe I'm just trying to justify.
Right. You just keep convincing yourself that you're an NFL quarterback, Kyle. If that's what you believe, you go ahead and say that.
But I when I am at work, when I clock in at work and my shift starts at 0700 hours, I am a little different. I for sure talk different. I feel like it's almost required of me to be that way. I feel like there has to be a switch when I step, into work that I do respond to things different. I do act a certain way. I carry myself a little bit different.
Right.
But overall, I don't think I think who I am as far as my passion for whatever I'm doing is the same. When I'm at work, I have a huge passion for learning, for being the best that I can be. When I'm at home with my girls, I have a passion for being a dad. I love being in that environment. I love being Jenny's husband. Like I like that passion that I have doesn't change. It changes with the environment because of what it requires me to. But who I am and at my very core, I think is the same. But I think in certain environments, when I'm at work, it does require me to act a little bit different.
Yeah. Well, and we want to make a statement here. Like us acting different in different environments is not necessarily bad.
Sure.
Right? It's not necessarily bad, but it is something kind of interesting. Like, well, what's behind that?
Yeah.
And sometimes it might be bad. Like, are you I've known situations where guys are great at work, but they're jerks at home, right? Or we could flip-flop that around. But it's kind of interesting to see, like, what motivates that significant change to the point where maybe you're not even recognizable.
Yeah.
Okay? I'll tell you a fun story, really, about something that Linda and I learned. So our oldest son went to the Naval Academy.
Okay.
And he was always just a chill, just a good guy, and not very loudmouthed or anything like that, but just a driven, motivated kid. And so, being at the Naval Academy, we don't ever get to see him. He was far away, and so we would go for occasional visits. Well, his senior year, he was named the XO of the brigade. Okay, so the XO is basically the highest midshipman in charge of all of the other midshipmen. Okay,
Wow.
so there's a CEO, and he basically is a student that relates to the actual adult officers, and there's the XO, and he's basically in charge of the actual midshipmen. Okay, and so our oldest son was I don't know, appointed or whatever to that position. Obviously, we were like very proud and everything of that, but I didn't really know what that meant. And,
Right.
And so we went to a Navy football game, and I did not recognize my son.
Really?
Yeah, because he was out in the center of the football field, basically commanding the brigade. And everything from commanding them to then getting them fired up about the game. And I'm like, is that our son? Like, holy cow, I've never seen him act that way.
Yeah.
And that was a good, right? Like that was, and he was taking command of these 5,000 midshipmen out there. And it was just really cool. But you could see where he had to act differently there than he does in our family room.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, but our question is like, well, what's behind that?
Yeah.
What causes us? And then we have to know, like, if the motivation is a positive motivation or if it's something other than that. So,
whoa, you're not getting out of this one.
Wait. No, let's go.
What about you, Merle? How do you think your kids view you work setting versus home? Is there a drastic difference? You gotta go. You're not getting out of this one that easy. I saw how you're doing. I saw you're setting the show up. You're getting ready to go to the sponsors.
I was deferring to my son. Like I wanted to use his as the example. For me, I would say my kids have seen me in both environments quite a bit, work versus home, and so I actually asked them a little bit about this the other day at the dinner table where I was putting things together for the show, and their comment was, well, at home, you're more quiet and more silly.
What?
Yeah.
You're quiet at home?
At this house, I'm the quiet one. Yes, sir. I know. Shocking.
Linda, I don't believe this.
Oh, my gosh.
Can you confirm? I need a confirmation.
That's good. That won't even be a battle there. I mean, between she and I, she puts out some more words than I do. But I'm more silly, I'm more goofy, I'm more lighthearted around the house. But at work, because I'm a coach, I run classes, I speak into people's lives, I'm much more serious there. And so I'm more commanding, like when I'm running a class. I'm more like, let's go, let's get it going, that kind of thing. And so they were just like, you're just more in charge there. So that was kind of the difference that they noted there. But at home, I'm more chill. Yeah.
I don't believe it.
Until I'm not, right? Let's go thanks a few sponsors. Come on.
I like it. Yeah, Strong Dads, we would like to thank Kramer's Beer House for coming alongside of us. Go down on Route 128, check them out. Let them know Strong Dad sent you down there. Tell Mark how much we really appreciate him. Check out their cool environment, great food. Really, really good place to have a date night, maybe for you and your wife, or a little family date night. So
there you go. Also, want to thank Casey's Outdoor Solutions for being a proud sponsor of Strong Dads, and so Casey's will take care of all of your landscaping and gift needs. And so, whatever you need, go check out Casey's, located outside of actually Bright, Indiana. This Christmas time is obviously a big time for those guys. Lots of cool things, everything from trees to decorations. So go check out Casey's.
Well, hey, Merle, as we get into this topic, you had kind of shared a little bit. It's obviously you had said, and I think it's really cool, the idea of getting to speak into guys' life, right? With the coaching that you and Linda do at Rock Solid Families. Do you see this idea of men maybe acting different, maybe speaking different in different environments. I think for majority of you strong days out there, the workplace, I know for me, that's something that as men, I truly do believe God made men to work and be in the workforce. Not to say that women are not, but obviously we're speaking with men here. Do you see that as something that a lot of men fall into?
Yeah, I would definitely do. A lot of times when it presents itself to me in a coaching session, especially if I'm coaching a marital issue, here's a typical example. Okay, so just to and this, a lot of guys will connect to this. Okay, I will have a couple that comes in. And we'll start talking. I'll be getting some information, and I'll ask kind of like what the presenting problem is. Like, why are you here? You know, what's going on in the marriage? And it's not uncommon at all to hear that, well, he has an anger problem. Okay, he has an anger problem. He gets angry, upset. He yells. He intimidates me, and I don't like it. And that kind of thing. And so right away, we think that, oh, he's a madman, he's crazy. And so I always start with a couple questions. I'm like, okay, wait, before I say that you have an anger problem, okay, let me ask these things. And I ask questions like, so what are you like at work? Would people at work say you have an anger problem? What do you like at church? What do you like in the community? What do you like in other environments? Tell me what you're like. No, at work, like those people, no, they wouldn't say I have an anger problem. And no, at church, I'm a church elder, or whatever. And so I'm like, okay, so there's a big difference here, because if I'm talking about no matter where you go, you're an angry person. Whether it's at work, whether you're driving, whether you're raising your kids, you are always an angry person. Now, actually, that's kind of a serious deal, because that's probably speaking to something that's ingrained in you in terms of it's in your fabric. And maybe we're talking mental illness there. Okay,
Sure. Maybe
maybe we're talking about deep-seated issues. And so that's like, okay, we need to figure that out. But if I find out that, no, at work, he's pretty chill, like everybody likes him at work. But man, when he comes home, he's losing his mind. Oh, so you don't really have an anger problem. You got something else going on. And your different behavior is causing you, or your different behavior is a manifestation of something that's not good with you. You're not comfortable. And so I have to dig a little deeper then.
Yeah.
Because this is in the environment. So I have to go into that environment and say, what's going on in this environment that's bringing out your ugly version? Because it ain't working well, right?
So do you think that this plays into, obviously outside, I'd say majority of men fall into, at work we would say like the laborers, right? I know for me, I'm a dumb fireman, right? I'm just a fireman, right?
I would have not said dumb.
Oh, you would have said no? Okay.
But since you said it, I'm not going to take it away.
So, but when I'm at work, naturally I get told what to do a lot.
Yeah.
Right. And I think if guys don't have the proper outlets, the proper, they don't have other guys speaking in, other guys holding them accountable, I think they can fall into the trap of going home. And it's like, I've been told what to do for the last 8 hours, for me the last 24 hours, right? You're not going to tell me what to do, Jenny, right? And they get in this mindset, and when they're at work, they may be at the more bottom of the totem pole when it comes to the pecking order, right? And then when you go home, naturally, I think men want to lead, right? And so they get in this mindset, well, I'm in charge of my family, and I'm going to do the intimidation that you were speaking about, earlier in the show, that I'm in charge now. You're going to do as I say, right? And I think that absolutely is an issue. I think it's a man problem, right? I think generally speaking, majority of men can relate to some form of wanting to lead and maybe not knowing the best way to lead, so it just comes out as anger or comes out as intimidation. And so I think majority of men out there can relate to this very idea.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And I think when it is a negative behavior, it gets attention, right? I mean, if I come home and like I said at home, I tend to be more chill, and that is because home's a good place for me. Right. And I love being at home. And Linda and I have learned to work through a lot of these things so I can be the person I want to be here. But there have been times where home is stressful And we're going to talk about like, okay, what does that stress look like? Because that's actually where we have to go. If you're seeing yourself behaving differently in different environments, okay, then we have to go after what the stressor is.
Yeah.
Where are you starting to feel like you're losing it?
Yeah.
And if you don't wrap your head around that, you think you will be fighting about things that you're not fighting about, really. It's much deeper than that. So here's the bottom line. As men, we have a responsibility to raise our family well, to take care of our family.
Yep.
And so if you're losing it at home or at work and it's jeopardizing what you do with your family and in your responsibilities, we got to get a grip on it. That's the bottom line. In Matthew 7:12, it says, "So whatever you wish that others would do to you, do also to them, for this is the law and the prophets." That whole idea of I've got to find out why I'm being inconsistent. Whatever I do, I've got to do it as if I would be okay with somebody doing that to me, right? The golden rule.
Yeah, that's very true.
So I need to keep that in my mind. Like, why am I acting like a jerk in this environment? There's a stressor there, and if I don't wrap my head around it, it can get worse and grow into bigger problems.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, as we start diving into this very idea, I think it is important, just where you're talking about those, different environments have different stressors, right? That cause us to act a certain way or respond to things a certain way. And I think if this is you, if you find yourself, if something we've already said so far kind of, sparked your interest a little bit in the sense that you can relate to that, I think the first thing we need to do is to start to do that kind of that self-evaluation, to start looking at what it is, whatever environment that you find that just like, man, I don't recognize myself in that environment. What is that environment? Is it something, if it is work, by no means am I saying that we could, should just get out of it, right?
No.
But, when we start looking at, if there are other environments, for me, like if I were to partake in going to the bar every night, right? That could be something I can let go, right? Like I should be able to, because I know that that's not going to benefit. It's not going to uplift my family. If that stressor, if that environment that you're in, that you don't look like yourself, if that's something we can eliminate, I think we absolutely should for sure look at that and be like, is that something I need in my life? But we are talking about work and the stressors that potentially come with work and looking a little bit different. I think the first thing we have to do is look at those stressors, see is there something I'm doing that increases those stressors? Because we talk all the time on the show about owning it, right? If there's something that you're doing, you're making the situation, you're increasing that stressor to the whole reason why you're looking a little different. I think that's where we need to start. Kind of the starting point is to look at those stressor. Is it something I'm doing? Is there changes I can make in that?
Right. So let's help our guys understand. So this is actually men or women. Okay. So in our work, these are the areas that I have found that if I can dig and get into these areas, I can figure out why somebody's acting the way they are. And so sometimes maybe I'm acting bad at work. I'm good at home, but I act bad at work. Okay, so this is where it pertains. I got to figure this out at work, or maybe it's in some other thing. So if you need to, get a pen and paper. These are the 7 areas that people need to wrap their head around and realize, oh, that's what my wife is stepping on. That's why I'm coming home angry. That's okay.
These are the stressors.
These are like, I like to refer to them as my social emotional systems.
Okay.
Yeah. Just like you have your bodily systems, your digestive system, your circuit. These are the systems that have to check okay.
Yeah.
And if they socially, emotionally, if these don't check out well, they will pull out adverse reactions. Okay. So the first one is control. Everybody has a system of control. Like I have to feel like I'm. For me now, your level of control might be different than mine, but I have to be okay with my level of control, or the control that people have in my life. Okay. So control is huge. Respect. All right. Respect is huge. Now, this is a bigger one for men. Not that women don't want respect. They do want respect. But like we've talked about this before in other shows, men need to feel respected. So that's one reason why when you're at the firehouse, you're going to be more game on. You're going to be very intentional, because you're working with a bunch of other men. And the last thing you want is feel like they can't respect you.
Very true.
Right? So you're going to be more on target. Okay? That's no different than when I'm running a class. I'm going to be game on because I want those folks to respect me as if I know what I'm doing. Okay, and so that's a huge one. Love. All right. All of us have this desire to be loved, but this is a little bit different. Love means that somebody would do something for you, somebody would sacrifice for you, that you're worthy enough that somebody would give to you. And if you don't feel like you're worthy enough, all right, and you're not getting anybody that ever is willing to pour into you, you start to feel pretty empty. So love is a big one. Affection. So affection can be everything from just spending time with someone to actually having sex, right? So everybody has different needs to feel connected. So affection is more of that connectedness, okay? Security. Everyone has a need to feel like there is a level of security, okay? Like I know where I'm going today, or I know that something's going to be provided for. Now, this one is kind of interesting because men are not as tightly wired to security as they are to provide security. Okay, like I could go live out in the woods if I got to make sure my family is okay. All right, so and again, everyone's at a different level here, and this is not about saying, well, we all should be this way. No, I need to find out what your level of security is, and then when you get out of whack from that, it's going to create a stressor on you. Okay, like I know some men that have to have a lot of money in their savings account. Why? Just for security, just in case. I know other men that they have no savings account. Okay, neither one is right or wrong in terms of security. It's what they have to have.
Yeah.
Okay. There's trust. You know, one of the things, men are big on trust, but men also don't always understand trust. Like when you're in a firehouse, you love the guys you're with because you know they got your back.
Absolutely.
All right. Like I trust him. Like I knew if I was in a room and I got stuck fighting a fire, that they're going to do everything they can to get me. Right. So we are big, all of our teams, right? Like I know that guy's got my back. All of our military guys, men love when they can trust people. But men are also quick to not always be trustworthy. Okay.
You don't say.
Because they sometimes don't understand how other people value trust. All right. And so they will dismiss things. Oh, it wasn't a big deal. I dropped the ball on that one, and especially with our wives, right? We dropped the ball on that. She thought I was going to take care of something. I didn't take care of it. And instead of owning it, we dismiss it. Oh, honey, it wasn't that big of a deal. What we actually just did is we just broke our trust with her. And then that creates crazy in her. Okay. And the last one is faith. And faith is a huge component because it roots us, it secures us in our purpose in life. Like, why am I even here? Why am I even doing what I do? And is this something that I think has value and purpose to it? And so some people have a very proclaimed faith, actually live it out and work it out, and whether it's religion or church or whatever. Some people just have a more fundamental, like, I have faith in my marriage. I have faith that things are going to work out that way. But there's a trust in the big picture is kind of that faith thing. So these are these 7 areas, but I think it's important for us to know, like, when you see your bad behavior, I need to drill down. And so there's 4 areas for men that I've seen that are really the bigger 4 areas, and it's control, respect, trust, and security. These are the areas that when I mess with these with men, all right, all areas are important, but these seem to be the ones that, like, if I want to bring out the ugly in a man, mess with one of these 4.
Yeah.
All right.
It's funny when you're talking about control. I remember getting to, I don't even know what the year was, how old I was. I remember getting to a point in my life where I'm like, you know what? I'm in control. I got my first car, right? And I'm like, I'm in control now. Mom and Dad, you ain't telling me what to do, right? And I think that just goes to the very idea. I think at its very core, men have this inside them. It's like, nobody's going to tell me how to do me, right?
I'm the man.
I'm the man, right? and I think that the problem is if you start to really, again, start to evaluate those stressors in your life, if you have noticed that control is one of those things that when you lose it or you feel like it's fleeing from you, for sure in your personal life, like if you feel like you're losing control of your family, man, that truly that is when, that's when you need to seek, wise counsel. That's when you need to seek other people, because man, if you're losing it, if your personal life or your professional life or whatever environment you put yourself in, if losing control is something that sets you off and makes you look a little bit different, man, that first, obviously, address that and find out, is it the control or is there other things? If it is that control, man, I don't know. This one's tough for me because at work, again, I'm a fireman, right? So the control on day-to-day operations, I don't necessarily have a whole lot to say in that. But I also think that when the day-to-day stuff that, okay, today we're going to do X, Y, Z, when a captain does that, and I don't have control in that. I think the control I do have is my attitude, the way in which I respond to whatever. I'm going to put forth my best. Like I've always said in my profession, I want to be the best damn fireman out there, right? Yeah. And again, I'm going to do whatever that takes. So although the day-to-day stuff, I can't necessarily change what my captain wants us to do for that day, I'm going to put my best foot forward. I've lost the control of what's going on, but I'm going to ensure that what I do, the things I can control, my attitude, the way in which I respond to that, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, so the control thing is you have to get a little bit deeper in the weeds of saying, this is control over what I'm responsible for, what I deal with. So like men, if you really want to bring out the ugly side of your man, for wives, try to mother him. I see it all the time. When a man gets treated like a boy, oh, I packed your lunch, oh, I did this, oh, I did that. Listen, if that is something that I want to take care of myself, stop it. Okay, because in the man, you're getting an ugly version of the man, because the man is going like, I'm not a boy anymore. I'll take care of my own stuff. Now, with that being said, there are certain things I don't want to control. So like in our house, it's very clear who runs our calendar. Linda has control of the calendar, and I love it because I don't want it, right? So that I don't feel like I'm giving up something there and sacrificing, all right? But in terms of me being told what to do every day, no. No. I'm willing to cooperate because I want to run well for the home, but I do not want to be mothered and told what to do. I need to have a level of control. And so what you were saying about the fireman thing, you're not in control of the big picture of the firehouse, but you're in control of your jobs. So here's what it would look like. You know your job in the firehouse, whatever it is. And all of a sudden somebody else comes over and says, Kyle, why are you doing that like that? Here's how you should do that. And they start questioning you and they start altering what you're doing. Now someone's trying to take in a level of control over you, and you're like, dude, stay in your own lane. Yeah. Like, this is what I control. Okay? So it's not about being in control of everything. It's about being in control of the things that you are supposed to take care of. Yeah. Okay, does that make sense?
It does, yeah. And when you were talking about that, that's something Jenny and I have learned over the years. Like, if I want to go do something, early in our marriage, I was like, hey, can I do this? Hey, is that, and Jenny and I have learned that, and kind of self-consciously almost learned, like we didn't necessarily like even talk about it, but it's been something that I don't ask Jenny for permission. We check each other. Hey, I'm going to go do this. Are you, right. Is that good? Or, but I'm not asking permission. But that very idea of Jenny's not going to be my mom, right? I already have a mom. But obviously coherence of our whole family, there's things we need to double check with each other. We need to have those sit downs. Hey, our schedule's looking like this for this week. That I don't see anything where, in fact, I think that's very beneficial, but it's just that, hey, can I do this? I don't know. I struggle with that because again, just like you were saying, that control, I don't need another mom. And I think when you get into that mindset, can I do this or am I allowed to do this? Man, I don't know. And maybe I'm speaking off course because obviously with marriage and family, I know you guys do.
Yeah. So there's, I'm looking at like, okay, I want to go on a hunting trip. Okay. I want to go on a hunting trip. So I'm looking at 3 ways that I could present that. Hey, I'm going on a hunting trip I'm leaving this weekend. I'll see you in 5 days. No, you're a jerk. Okay? Right. I'll just call you out. You're a jerk. Hey, honey, can I go on that hunting trip with my buddies in a week? No, you're a wuss. You're being controlled. Okay? You're being controlled.
Yeah.
All right? Hey, hon, let's talk. So I really am interested in this hunting trip these guys are planning. So let's talk about like when I could possibly do that, what works with the schedule, what works with the family. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Cool. Yep. So that's the middle of the road that shows responsibility to your family, but you're not asking like a 5-year-old whether you can do something. You're saying, hey, this is something I want to do, but I'm not going to do it at the expense of my family. I'm going to do it in cooperation with my family. All right. So, yeah, that's a perfect example of, when men do not need, and for that matter, women do not need to ask men for permission. Okay. These factors go both ways.
Oh yeah.
Okay?
Which leads us right into the next one. The idea of respect. And man, just exactly what you were saying was going to be the point that I was going to make when it comes to respect, that I think naturally men want other people to respect them.
Yeah.
Right. And give me respect. Right. But man, this is a two-way street. Because if I constantly say, hey, babe, I'm thinking about going to this training, what's our calendar look like? And then when she brings on something she wants to do, and I completely, I basically look at her and no, you can't do that, right? And it's that mutual respect that yes, we should want respect from our wife and our bosses and our coworkers, absolutely. But the flip side of that, similar to what you're talking about with the control, where sometimes we're easy to dismiss our own shortcomings, right? So if you're asking for other people to respect you, man, you have to give respect to people as well.
100%. Yeah, exactly. And so, if I feel disrespected, all right, here's when things come to me in the coaching world, in my office with marriage and family. It's when the extreme happens. When I'm feeling disrespected or losing control, I either get stupid angry, okay? I'm mad, I become a jerk, so this is my different behavior coming out, right? Or I shut down. So those are the things that tend to bring guys in, and those come up in this topics. It's the middle ground is where we're trying to dance, right? But it's when I get shut down, and by my nature, some of us shut down and go quiet, right? And that's not good because it just builds up. And some of us lose our mind, right? And do that in anger and at the expense of the people we live with. So trying to seek some of that middle ground. But the way that I do that is, listen, what you did made me feel really bad, okay? But really, I feel disrespected. And I'm angry for that. Okay. So I need to point out my systems, my social emotional systems that are basically being jeopardized.
Yep.
Okay. How about trust? So I said the 4 issues for men primarily are control, respect, trust. Right. If you don't trust a man, will you do a business deal with him?
Hell no.
No way. No way, man.
Yep.
And if I'm forced to, all right, if something came up and I was pressured to do it, I will not be a pleasant person to deal with, right? So I don't mess with people I can't trust, all right? I remember one time I was building a home, and I got a guy to do some work for me, and in the back of my head, I knew this guy was a felon, but we had connections through the family and stuff. And I was like, I'm going to go ahead and hire him because he was available and I needed things done. And I short-circuited my decision-making, and I hired him. And I was on pins and needles the whole time. He was not a good character. And it turned out he screwed me bad. Yeah, he screwed me bad.
Taught you a lesson.
It taught me a lesson that, you know what, I didn't trust him, and I needed to work through that, and I didn't. I made an impulsive decision, and the guy he lived who he was, which, I learned from that.
Well, this idea of trust is so true in the fire world. I know for me, when I get sent to other firehouses to work with other guys that I don't work on a regular basis, right? The guys I work with, I work every third day with. I know the ins and outs. I know their strengths. I know their weaknesses, and I trust them. I would say that they do the same for me. When I go to another firehouse to work, I don't know those guys' strengths. I don't know those guys' weaknesses. They don't know mine. And so naturally there is a little bit of a wall that gets put up because there is that lack of trust. And I will openly admit, I do act a little bit different around them. The way in which I am around those guys is a little bit different. I'm not as forthcoming. I'm not as there's a little bit more judgment that I was like, come on, dude, like my guys know this. How do you not know this, right? And so I do look a little bit different because of that very fact, that the idea of trust. Because when I'm with my guys, man, I trust them. I trust them with every part of me. Jenny trusts the guys I work with. She knows those guys. She knows that I've talked about their capabilities, what they're good at. But when I go to that different firehouse, it's like I do act a little different. I think it is absolutely true.
Yeah, little apprehension, little anxiety. I got to figure this out, so I'm not going to be the same behaving person as I am in this other setting, right? And it's just because you have to establish that trust. Doesn't mean that you'll always be that way. No, like if you got to the level of trust with those guys, you'd be back acting how you do in your current firehouse.
Yep. This last one you wrote down, the idea of security, I think is very true, and this may be a large part of why when some guys are at home, they act a certain way. When they're at work, maybe they're in a job that is maybe not the most secure job. Maybe there are some question marks associated with their job, and I think it naturally can trickle into coming, because just what you were saying about when you're in your home, you feel at home, right?
Yeah.
And it's that idea of security. Like when I'm in my home, like I feel like this is where I'm supposed to be. And sometimes I'd imagine for some of you guys out there, sometimes if you go to a certain environment, a workplace that you're in, that you don't feel that sense of security, I think naturally you're going to respond and act a little bit different.
Yeah. So even though ladies by their nature will nurture the house and build a nest, okay, the man has a desire to stand guard over the nest, okay? And so not to get this confused, mom's work is like she sees things that I don't see, and she makes the nest feel secure and warm, okay? But it's actually the guarding of it, like, are the bills getting paid? Am I providing? Am I standing guard? And when I don't feel like I'm doing a very good job of that, I will have an anxiety that starts to come up, like I'm falling short. I'm not being the man I need to be. And that will start to also then create a different behavior out of me. And it could be an anger behavior. It could be an anxiousness. It could be a withdrawal, like I'm not good at this. Why? Or I feel like I've seen this really a lot heavily here in the last probably 5 or 6 years. Men throwing their arms up because their house is under attack because of internet security issues, meaning their kids are looking at porn, are playing on video games, and they're like, the dads, we're used to grabbing a gun and going out and protecting the front door, right?
Sure.
And now this is infiltrating, and it's totally confusing to us, and we go, I don't know what the heck's going on here. And so if I don't know how to secure, I'll quit. I don't know. You figure it out. I don't know how. So we have to kind of learn how to adjust so that we can keep the security at the level that our home needs. And so this is one that I'm seeing a lot. And I'm seeing a lot of men just bow down to it. Like, listen, I don't know if that's what the kids are doing. No. Jump in. This is no different than you guarding the front door of your house. Look at your kids and say, you know what? I've come to realize that I have a security job with you as well in your phone. And do not apologize for keeping your kids secure. No, you know what? You're not going to get a phone until you're 15 years old, or you're not going to get the privilege to have the phone in your room. You're not going to. This is your job. Do it.
Yep.
And you will feel a whole lot more comfortable in your own skin because that security measure will be dealt with.
I like it. Yeah, as we continue a little bit, when we talk about these 4 big topics that you kind of brought up, Merle, the idea of control, respect, trust, and security. I think ultimately, men want balance. They want that kind of that, like everything's kosher, everything's good to go, right? And so when we start to one of the first things we talked about was the idea of looking at those stressors, looking and evaluating your life. If you start to look at those 4 parts of your life, four different things that if they pop up may cause you to respond a little bit different, man, I feel for you, because I know I think depending on where you're at in your life and things you're going through, I think there's things that you do fall short. There are times there's when I'm losing control of something, naturally I'm going to respond a little bit. So I think I'm in it with you guys. Like, man, I hear like the stressors that happen and that go on for men. And I think obviously naturally men just want that kind of balance, that just equilibrium right throughout our life. And I think that's what we should strive for. And I think it's important to know that just like I was saying, that there's going to be times where you're going to fall short on one of these. I know when we were talking the first 7 things that you read, one of the first ones that popped in my mind, it was actually the last one you read, was the idea of the faith component. Man, this one's tough for me, and I know that I'm not alone when it comes to men. The faith component, for sure, when I'm at work, that's not something that if you were to look at, the guys who would look at me, obviously the guys I work with on a regular basis know that I love Jesus, right? But sometimes when I go on these runs with patients, do they know that I love Jesus? Right? Does that faith component come out? And I think that's something that I fall short on a regular basis. So as we look at these different, avenues, different parts of our life, like one of the 7 ones, I'm sure in some regards you've fallen short on.
Yeah, whenever I behave differently in different environments, it creates an internal tension in myself.
Yeah.
You start to, every man recognizes the phony in them. Okay. And sometimes we try to just hide it and act like it doesn't exist. But when we see the phony in ourselves, we don't like phonies in other men. And when we see the phony in ourselves, it causes tension in us. Okay. And here's how you should know that one of your systems, all right, this social emotional systems that we talked about before: control, respect, faith, trust, and I'll forget some of those in a way. But
you were supposed to write them down, right?
I have them down, but anyway.
No, not you. I'm saying you told.
Yeah,
you
guys know.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you guys know. But when one of those is under stress, when one of those is not working well, it's going to come out in anger, anxiety, depression, withdrawal, or dominance. I mean, those are the things that I see that come into my office. Okay, if I'm losing control, I'm either shutting down and I'll become a little wallflower, or I'm going to exert this dominance, like I'm going to be a total jerk to try to come in and own everything. Right. And so there's all these things, like if you're acting like a jerk, there's a reason. Go back and find the reason. Okay. And it's amazing if you can do that, and especially you can do it with your spouse. You guys can work through that together by starting to identify, like if I have a control situation going on, then I work with husbands all the time to say, okay, wait. Your wife is treating you like a child. All right. So how are we going to tell her to stop treating you like a child? All right. If I yell that at her, it's all the more reason why she's going to continue to treat me like a child, because now I'm throwing a tantrum like a child. Okay. So this is where you have to learn to wrap your head around what's the right approach. Where are you being pinched or squeezed, and how are you going to present that? And that's a big thing that I help. And that's different for every situation, because I have to then learn about who she is, or what the home environment is, or whatever.
Yep.
I have to learn more, and I just can't give a blanket answer to that.
Yep. Good deal, man. I hope as we're moving through this, I hope this is really resonate with some of you guys, man. The one thing, Merle, you wrote down here, I think is really important, that no matter what, where you're at, like knowing your values and knowing what you stand for, I think is so vitally important. I mean, if it would be one takeaway for this show is, man, know who you are as a man. Like at some point, when we talk about, you get at a certain age, you want that control, right? At that point, you're still trying to figure out who you are, right? Like there should be certain avenues where you're okay with giving up a little bit of that control. And I think it goes back to like knowing who you are as a man, that yes, when I'm at the firehouse, I act a little bit different. I say things that I probably wouldn't say in front of my wife, right? and right, wrong, or indifferent, maybe I'm just justifying it again. But I think at the end of the day, I know who I am. And I think at the end of the day, my girls know who I am. And regardless if they see me at work or they see me at home, that's the man that they're going to see. At least I hope that is, right? And maybe that's our challenge for you guys, is like start to evaluate that. Start to look at yourself when you're at work, when you're at home, when you're out with your buddies. Like start evaluating those different situations. And are you the man that you want to be? Are you the man that your wife wants you to be? And are you the man that your kids want you to be?
Yeah, I think is a huge point. So the bottom line, here's the scariest conflict in behavior. When I see conflict in behavior that is willing to break your value system. Okay? So in other words, if you say that you are not a thief and you are not there, you're not to steal or whatever, but you are in an environment that it's okay to steal, you don't know what your value system is. Well, when I'm around the guys, it's okay to do that. All right. Anyway, I mean, when I change my value system, when I let that thing waffle around, that's the scariest type of, behavior change. So as you said, like, I got to know what I'm going to stand for. This is that constitution that grounds us. And if I'm willing to waffle on my value system, then all bets are off on how I'm going to just flutter around to different kind of behaviors in different environments.
Good deal.
All right. You got it?
I know. I was looking through. I got to make sure I got our sponsors because, unlike you, this is the only show I do. Sometimes Merle will be like, oh, yeah, Rock Solid Families would like to think. No.
Yeah, I'll blow that one again. Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, we really do appreciate you guys out there listening. Stay tuned. We're putting out some really good shows. This idea of work, I think we're going to possibly dive into a little bit deeper, look at different avenues of the work life, because I think most men relate to that and relate to the idea of work. So stay tuned. We're putting out good shows. Give us 5-star ratings. Share the heck out of our shows on whatever social media platform that you're on. We really do appreciate you guys. Give us 5-star rating. Like I said, thanks so much for Kramer's Beer House and Casey Outdoor Solutions for coming alongside of us. We greatly do appreciate it. It allows us to continue to do what we do here. And check out Merle and Linda. They Rock Solid Families. They got a really cool podcast as well they're doing. So check out Rock Solid Radios. Give them a 5-star rating as well. I know you guys got some exciting things coming up for Rock Solid Family.
We do. So and I'll be starting to plug more on this as we come into 2022. Linda and I are putting together a very intensive online marriage coaching program.
Okay.
We have found that that part of our ministry is growing like crazy, and there aren't enough hours in the day for us to see the people who that are asking for help. And so we are actually getting coached right now and creating a really thorough, great program.
Coach became the student, huh?
The coach became the student, and that's that first step's never easy. Like,
it normally goes the other way, right? So student becomes a coach.
Yeah.
I like it.
So now I'm a student, but we're learning how to create the best program possible with kind of the experience and knowledge that we have, but now to put that in a very applicable program. So we will be releasing that in the first quarter of 2022.
Awesome.
And so I'll let you guys know more on that. We also do parenting workshops and do marriage workshops. We've got a marriage workshop coming up at Bright Christian Church. That's, I think, February 19th, and I'll be getting more information out on that. And we have a parenting workshop coming up at Urban Crest Church over in Lebanon, Ohio, and that is on February 12th. And so go onto our website, rocksolidfamilies.org, and you can get information for all of these different things that we do, and just trying to build families and marriages. So,
thank you. Love it. Awesome. Thanks so much, guys. Go out there and be some strong dads.
Casey's is a premier garden center and gift shop located in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Casey's offers a wide selection of plants, landscaping materials, home and garden decor, and gifts for every occasion. Casey's is committed to providing exceptional service, a unique shopping experience, and value to every customer. Stop in and see what makes Casey's so unique. Located at 21481 State Line Road, Lawrenceburg, Indiana, or call 812-537-3800. Let Casey's help you add beauty to your home.